All right, so there's a few of us here in New York, and I just wanted you guys to meet a new addition to the Urban One family because we are all family. Erica Hall is the new director of social for Interactive One. Welcome, and yay! Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, so we're gonna be getting to know each other. We met each other today for the first time. But basically, the stuff that I used to do on the national side, she's going to do, but even more now that they have another new brand. And we just want to increase the synergy and hopefully do great things together since it's a beautiful thing. This is the most people we've ever had working on social. The people that you're talking to, they're program directors, there are online editors. So for each of the markets that we have radio stations in, we have someone who not only does social, but manages the websites, handles the videos, does everything digital. So just wanted you to introduce yourself, tell us more about you. Everybody feel free to connect to her on LinkedIn or any other social platform. I just sent mine. But yeah, tell us about yourself.
So as you said, my name is Erica Hall. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, but I've lived
What's side?
here for 12 years. I think 12 years this May. I have done a myriad of things. So when I lived in LA, I actually worked in television and film industry on the management side of the business, and then I moved here specifically to work in media slash music. And I sort of started my digital. Actually, this is really funny because it's my career coming full circle. So my first technical digital, back when they called it new media,
Isn't that funny?
job was working as a coordinator at Rush Communications at the exact time that Global Grind was being concepted.
Oh my
and
gosh, that's so
started.
cute.
So I was Russell Simmons online on MySpace back in the olden days.
Wow.
When MySpace was important. And then kind of continued on from there, doing everything from working on the agency side, working directly as a project manager. I worked with this company that's since been bought like 3 times. That did, was half development, half marketing. I've had everything from high-end luxury brands like Diptyque candles to Gallo wine brands to pets with Purina. And then
What was the engagement like for pets?
so
I bet that was
the
crazy.
engagement was I've never seen a Facebook was sort of their main channel, and they had basically their engagement rate was basically somewhere between 50 and 60%, like week over week, month over month. But there's a lot of science to it. People like cats more than like it was like very interesting. People like cat pictures more than dog pictures. They like 2 cats together, or they like 3 dogs. It was very interesting just to see what because you think it's an easy win, but it's harder than you think. And then trying to link it back to actually buying Purina products. People that really love pets hated Purina, so it was a very interesting case study to have. And they had that brand I actually worked on was called Pet Centric, and so it was the lifestyle part of the Purina brand. So they didn't sell anything; they sold the lifestyle around all of these brands. So one of the harder things to do was to try to like, how do you take this great engagement, but then get people to go buy Tidy Cats, get people to go buy Beneful, and then people are like Beneful killed my dog, and so I learned a lot about crisis management. I worked on the
Oh, like people would leave stories like that in the comments?
or videos, and
Oh
how do you
no.
manage that? Do you take it down? Do you respond? Dealing with the crisis center at the actual sort of Purina local, and then another way I kind of did crisis management is when I was on the agency side. We were the agency, the social media agency of record for the Super Bowl. That was New York, New Jersey Super Bowl. So that was super, super cool. Basically, it was a huge room that had volunteers and then actual social media managers, and we worked with fire, police, Homeland Security, the NFL, the people who own the stadium to not only monitor the social, because what if there's like a bomb threat or like, and there was a guy that we caught that was like, I can't wait for everyone to get here because we're gonna throw bombs at Giant Stadium, and we have to. It was like a whole thing. So it was actually really interesting to kind of be in that like war room. I think Gatorade has like a similar like kind of like war room where they just have a bunch of social media managers sit in a room and they just like somebody's monitoring, somebody's responding, somebody's flagging it up. So it's really cool.
Wow.
Then I sort of skipped part of it, but whatever. I'm talking for a while. So I came here to work in music. So I worked for Russell, left Russell. I worked at a label, and then I did sort of freelance work in the social media space for Warner, Def Jam, a bunch of different places. And then I went back. That's when I went to the agency side because it was sort of around the time that new media was going in house at the label system.
Right.
But I thought that the way they were doing it was terrible, to be honest. They were sort of focusing on sending people to physical, and I just was like, there's this thing called iTunes. Like, why are you using an online platform to send someone to someplace physical when there's an actual
link that takes them right there?
But it was like the maturation of that industry. I know you guys feel the pain of sometimes people not understanding what the heck it is you do.
Right.
And then
or stuck on this old way to do it, even though that's not the way people engage in this space. So
and you know, again, I'm kind of preaching to the choir. It's such a constantly moving target. So what we did 9 months ago is very different than we're doing now, which will be very different than we're doing 9 months in the future. And so then I got one of my old bosses, actually from Global Grind, was the CMO at the beginning, was working at Republic Records and asked me to come over to her team. So I was a senior director over there doing digital marketing, and that was basically the entire, similar to what some of the program managers do sort of on the phone, I was over the entire life cycle of a product of an artist. So everything from websites, new apps, app development, social media, managing the paid team, managing the CRM team for mainly their pop and urban crossover roster. So like the bigger artists I worked on were The Weeknd and Ariana Grande, Post Malone. I worked on the big soundtracks. I worked on all the 50 Shades soundtracks, one of the Hunger Games soundtracks. So that's sort of my basic background, but it feels good to kind of be home in a way and in a place that is open to really being on the forefront of what it means to be interactive, for lack of a title. So I'm really, really excited, and I'm really excited to be. I love that you have this. Is amazing. I love this meeting, and it's just my first 5 minutes.
Oh, well, thank you for coming. And to be honest with you, don't ever feel like you're preaching to the choir because everybody has a different skill set, knowledge set, and you know, even myself, I think the reason why I've been able to do well is because I know I don't know everything, and I learn from everyone every week. And as long as we keep talking, I think we'll all grow individually and collectively. So that's really what this is, a chance for all of us to sit down and, oh, I know this was our best practice, but this completely does not work for me anymore. So since it's ever evolving, that's what we do every week. So thank you. All right, likewise. Okay, so just in case anyone joined the call late, this is Erica Hall, the new director of social for Interactive One. No, I'm sorry, iOne. Get it right. iOne, yes. I know, we're all learning. So I saw this article, and when it spoke to me because it's the 5 common social media marketing myths, but it's totally trying to sell you on Hootsuite and how great it is. So, of course, but at least the direction in which they were going to with all these different points, I felt were really applicable to us and what we do. So I just wanted to share this with you and point out some examples. And if you guys have anything that coincides or is antithetical to what we're hearing, please feel free to jump in. And here we go. All right. So the first thing is you need a lot of followers to be successful on social media. Followers are great, especially for our influencer network coming soon, because, you know, a lot of people care about numbers, but the most important thing is engagement. So a lot of times we get so caught up in, oh my God, I got to post, and this is what people like. But as we know, people are protective of their feeds. And sometimes if you're doing too much, people will turn you off altogether. sometimes they'll be polite and just mute you, but sometimes they'll just unfollow you because you're just doing too much. So one of the things you want to pay attention to is frequency, but then also just kind of, again, don't be afraid to take content down if it's not doing well. That's been something that I've seen help with the reach of a page. And also, posting video every day really makes a difference, because when you do that, I've seen reach of a page overall, and I'm talking about Facebook specifically, grow. So here's a comparison to show you how much engagement matters. So Ricky has 3.4 million followers, fans, likes on Facebook. His reach this week was 5.8 million. In my head, I like for it to be twice as much as what the fans are. So if the fans are 3.4 million, I like to have 6.8. So this is good, but it's not great. It's not where I want it to be. But you definitely should not have a reach that's less than what your fans are. Okay, now look at Gary with the T. Gary with the T has 262,000, but he has 1.4 million. So even though he doesn't have as many followers, this is an extremely healthy page, because if I was able to do math very well while I spoke, I would tell you that that's a lot more than what Ricky has. So, even though, when people see Ricky's 3.4 million, I'm like, watch out for Gary with the T, because even though he doesn't have um, nearly what what Ricky has. I'm really good with math when I'm like quiet and doing it, but yeah, when I'm talking, forget about it. I don't even try. Yeah. So anyway, that's just something to illustrate. Um, a page without as many fans can be extremely potent, extremely effective, and when it comes to sales campaigns, pages like this tend to do very well. But when you have a page that doesn't have as many, doesn't have the reach that equals the amount of follows, it really tends to be dismal. And also, we have salespeople on the call too, so we really care about the sales element. So just keep that in mind. When we talk about the type of content you post, a lot of times we're just focused on driving traffic to the site. But if you take time to do that, people like animals. So if you do that cute dog post that has nothing to do with anything, but you just know people are gonna love it. Oh, I'm sorry, cats. People like cats better, right?
Yes, people prefer
okay.
Cats.
People prefer cats on social media. So
cats run the internet.
So stop posting dogs, post cats, and that should help your reach. So definitely try to mix it up and do things like that, because at the end of the day, it's not about follows, it's about engagement. Number 2, you have to keep everything online. They were talking about just basically engaging with people and doing things offline. But, we're social, we're digital, so we still want to do things online. But I would amend this for our purposes and say you have to keep everything on social. I know a lot of times we're always focused on driving traffic back, but I think JR does a really good job with having the hybrid approach of taking a video, giving them a snippet of it, but enough that it has substance so that people will watch it, but then go away notification, and then see the full interview, and then giving them the link to go back to the site. So you've given them a great experience here, you've given them an even more robust experience on the website, but then you're engaging with them, and then look how well it did. Over 700,000 people reached, over 100,000 views, so phenomenal. Step number 3. Wait, I feel like I forgot something. Oh, and respond to comments too, because people really care about you taking the time. I know sometimes it's physically impossible to respond to everything, but if you respond to something, at least people see that you're not a robot and that people are actually engaged. And especially when you're a brand, because people always assume that if it's a brand, people aren't going to talk to it. So a lot of times they aren't as interested in following as they are on when it comes to celebrities themselves. Number 3, you need to be active on every social media platform. Who's got time for that? I mean, and it's funny when you talk about like the past, how people look at social as new media, or just digital as new media.
Social, then digital.
But it's funny because like in order to do what a lot of times people envision social being, they don't understand. Like, you need bodies because, people are on social 24 hours a day, every day, and especially on the weekends. So it's hard to work as a 9 to 5, but then still be present. And then there's always something happening where you could be engaging live. So the reality is a lot of resources aren't put towards social to execute on every platform the way we would like. So be smart. Work smarter, not harder. Um, I don't do everything, but if a new social platform comes, I try to stake out that real estate. So, like, let's say if you have Cassius Life on, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, get it everywhere. Who knows if you're going to be on Pinterest one day, but just go ahead and secure it. When that hot new platform comes from Japan and only Japanese people are on it, just go ahead and secure the handle so that way you have it just in case you want to engage with it later. And then the reality of it is, excuse me, you don't want to dilute yourself or your brand because the reality of it is you only have so many hours in a day. And what I found, water break, what, what I found is by just focusing on quality instead of quantity, I've been able to get really good numbers of followers. So Ricky Smiley Morning Show, that page is only a year and a half and it has 249,000 likes. Nothing but everything's organic. And then with the Instagram page, 163,000 followers, and again, a year and a half. Now, for algorithmic based social media platforms, I think it's quality over quantity. With Twitter, you just got to go hard. You just need body. You got to spend time on Twitter to get your followers up. But for Facebook and Instagram, it's really worth it to just spend time here, engage daily, but don't feel like you have to engage all day, every day. The number for growth on Instagram is 5 posts per day. I usually get around to that many, but I don't always. But at least if I have something going up once a day, I feel like, there's a presence, but I'm not wearing myself out. And then if sometimes you just don't have great content or don't feel like it's cool, don't post. Like, quality over quantity will always trump you just posting stuff because you feel like I haven't put anything up in a couple hours. All right. Did I feel like I skipped number 4? Hold on. Oh, it's the perception is, or the myth is that it's too late to learn social media. And thanks to our dear Nigel, he comes in like you just been coming in for like 6 weeks, right? Yeah, and like he always asks a question that's like, oh yeah, people probably don't know that, but it's just a good question. So I love that all of you have taken the time to jump on because some know more than others, but the fact of the matter is we all don't know everything because it's ever evolving. So no matter how much you know, tomorrow you won't know as much just because they keep changing on us. The algorithms keep changing. So always keep learning and never feel shy because you don't know enough, because the reality of it is nobody knows everything. Most people just won't admit that they don't know everything when it comes to social. Um, Lastly, social media is separate from the rest of your marketing strategy. And I totally disagree. Social is a part of everything. And the more we start integrating it into everything, the more successful we will be. The fortunate thing for online editors is, we get to manage our brands, we get to manage the content on our sites. But then it's hard for the national brands because, like, Gabe may see something that's like, this is blowing up. Like, this is going to be huge. And then you have to go to editorial and tell them to write it, and they may not feel like they don't see what you're seeing. And then by the time you take it to explain it, it's like it might not be trending by the time you convince them, and then they go around and write it. So I envision more of a world where social is kind of used as a resource for content as opposed to just a place to promote content. So hopefully the national team will start to get that as well. But social totally should be more than just a promotional tool. It's also just a phenomenal way to get content and to find out what your audience is talking about before anything else, real time. Oh, Nigel.
Suppose
make it
you
brilliant.
have a
Make it brilliant. No
Push
pressure.
So suppose you have a specific area that where you want to find out people are interested in it, like education.
Okay.
If I wanted to, instead of going to Twitter or whatever to see what's trending and react to that, is there a way to look for a specific area, like in education, and see maybe what question or what people are talking about in that particular area, and then use that as a springboard to create content?
I would hashtag education and then see, because that's just a trending topic or a hashtag. I mean, it's probably not a trending topic, but if you just see what people are talking about, it's cool because it sorts it by the most popular, and then you can sort it by like what's the most recent post is. So then you can see real time what people are talking about, or you can just look at like, wow, I didn't hear about this story, but it's right at the top, so it's getting a lot of engagement. So really, I know it sounds simple, but you'd be surprised the range of topics when you have something that's laser focused. Because sometimes it's like if you go, education is great, and it's like, okay, who really hashtag that? You're going to limit your conversation, but by taking that and looking at that overall conversation, you might discover some really compelling content that you might not know of otherwise, especially with our brands because we're so focused on the African American space. There may be other things that relate to us, or what shenanigans is Betty DuVos up to, because, we all know that what she's doing is affecting us. So even, oh, and that's the other thing, like go back to the well. So Reginae Carter is just, it doesn't matter what she does. Like she can graduate, she can go to prom, she can dress up for Halloween, she can get into a fight or have a friend get into a fight on a college campus. Like no matter what she does, it's going to do well. So as we get more staffed up on my team, one of the things that I'm going to spend more time doing is, okay, if Reginae and Tiny do well every day, let me just see what's happening with them so that I can know and be on top of it. So if education is your beat, just explore that hashtag, and don't just explore on Twitter, explore on Instagram, because Instagram, people are extremely active there, even though you don't think of that as an education
So how
place.
would you do it on Instagram?
So literally in search, you just use the pound sign hashtag and then education, enter, or, and that's the good thing about Twitter, you can just simply type in education and it'll still show you things. So I'll show you how to sort it, but it's really cool just because you get to see what people are talking about, even though it may not make it to mainstream media platforms. Because even then, by the time you aggregate a story, chances are they saw it trending. So, sometimes you may be a day late. Yeah, even though you may get good traction on it, it would have been even better if you were getting it from social. So, again, Betsy DuVos, I know, is very polarizing and people have strong opinions. And if she's somebody who's done well for you before, like use her name and go back to her to find out what she's doing. Or, people who are mad at Trump, it's just, it never stops.
But
So
what about Facebook? How would you?
same thing. You can just, yeah,
Hashtag?
yeah, you can hashtag and then you can just search. And then they also have a trending tool on the right side where you can see what's trending. But yeah, all of them are pretty good about that discovery of new stories. Did anyone have any questions on the phone?
Yeah, this is Terry. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Terry.
Hey, I'm so glad you moved it to Tuesday. It's such a great time for me. Question: I'm interested in what you're speaking about regarding the Twitter and the hashtagging. I've been reading about that recently in just some different books that I've been studying. You mentioned that you could show us in terms of the sorting. I would be interested in seeing that. Is that something you could take the time to do?
I'm
Show us real quick?
Thank you for that, because I'm sitting here looking at Nigel in the face. Like, meanwhile, I have a whole webinar where I can actually show you. So I will absolutely do that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So here we go. So let's do education, and then so I typed it in the search box, and then I just hit enter, and you can. This shows you the top posts, so the ones that are getting the most engagement on social right now, or you can go to the latest. Sorry, let me scroll. So you can just kind of watch and see what the latest stories are. But the thing that I like about the top is they do all the math for you to find out which is getting the most retweets, which is getting the most likes, which is getting the overall most engagement. So that way you don't even have to try to figure out what's the most relevant. It's giving it to you. And then also you can find people. So if there's people you want to follow in that field who tend to talk about that, you have that. And here's the cool thing. So like Kevin Powell, he doesn't have education in his in his handle or anything like that, but they still recognize him as someone who's actively tweeting about that. So therefore, they included him in the results. Um, Photos, videos, news would work for you, so you can actually see, not just regular people talking about it, but actually get some education content. And broadcast, nobody cares about Periscope anymore, but and they don't even call it Periscope. It's like Twitter Live. But if you wanted to see other people talking about education real time and just experience that, that's an amazing tool. And it's great to see because they've gotten so much better. Twitter used to be very like you only could see real time, but now it's a really powerful tool. Thanks, Terry. Any other questions? All right, so wanted to show you guys this list of tools that you can use to create beautiful images on social. Some of them are more advanced than others, meaning that some you can have no design experience and you can actually, create beautiful images, and some you need a little bit more. Since we're running short on time, I'm not going to dig deep in, or I'm actually not going to dig into these at all, but I'm just going to scroll through it and send you the link, I promise. But one of the things that I personally recommend, I am all about PicMonkey because you don't have to have any experience and it lets you feel like Photoshop when I don't, and it lets you make beautiful collages. You can just edit basic photos. You can do touch-ups. I'm always afraid to do that because like you can, if people have the red dots in their eyes, you can fix that. But it's great for memes too. I've been able to do some really great images and not spend a lot of time because that to me is most important. So I highly recommend PicMonkey. Does anyone have any other tools that they recommend?
I like Visco, but it can be confusing.
Yeah.
If you know your way around photo editing apps, it's fine. But if you're if it's a lot,
How do you spell that?
photos, it's a lot. It's VSCO.
Oh, Visco.
It's beautiful. Like the filters they have are gorgeous.
Oh, filters.
Yeah, it's just a photo editing app, especially for high definition photos. It's really cool.
Oh, great. Yeah. So this is great for your actual phones. And PicMonkey, I don't even know if they have an app because I've only used it on desktop, but that's a definite option for you. Visco for the phone, PicMonkey for your for your laptop or your computer. Last thing, I need to jump on another call, so I'm going to wrap up now. But if you guys have any questions, ddunham@urban1.com if you have any questions. And thank you guys so much for taking the time out to be on the call. If you're not an online editor, please hang up on me or hang out if you would like. But I just need to see which online editors made the call, and I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.